Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker, here to prepare a tea, another tea to try out, see how it fits on the spectrum of teas that you admire, the teas that you look to for different levels of quality, different kinds of tastes. So I'm going to scoop out enough here to cover the 1 inch and a half diameter of my Gaiwan. Just a pinch more, just a pinch. Sprinkle more there. I'm going to add enough water. My water's been brought to an early boil, but it's going to, and so it's not a full heavy rolling boil. Several tea companies recommend that, and the thinking is that heavily or fully boiled tea loses more oxygen. Oxygen is released from the water as it boils, so a more oxygenated water, slightly below boiling, will have more oxygen in it, release more aromatic compounds, just smell better and taste better. So that's the thinking there. Now my water level is just enough so that a little bit is above the rim of the lid, which kind of creates a nice seal so that air doesn't get in and disperse that aroma too quickly, too soon. So while that's steeping, introduce this tea, talk about it. This is from the Whittard Tea Company. This is their ImperialFormosaOolong, Whittard, WHITTARD.co.uk is the company. You can get 50 grams of this Formosa Oolong for 8.75 pounds, 8 pounds 75 pence. Not a lot of background information. Imperial or Formosa Oolongs implies that this is a Taiwanese tea. There is the Formosa type of, this one particularly says Taiwanese Oolong tea on the front of the label here. It has the appearance, the characteristics, looks somewhat like beauty type of tea. So that's kind of what to have in mind when considering this tea. I'm going to go ahead and look at the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor here, starting off with the dry. Giving it a smell here. Aromas I would say, are generally light. You have a bit of a woody type of smell, a dried, seasoned type of hardwood. You do have a bit of roasty note, lightly roasted. And there's some kind of sweet fragrance, the sweetness of that, like I said, of a dried hardwood coming off here. Maybe, something, sandalwood would not be, there's some kind of the sweet notes of woods like sandalwood that might come to mind. Scooping out a few leaves here. Oriental Beauties, Formosa Oolongs, those kind of teas have different grades, different levels of quality. You can find some tips in there, some buds. So other times you just have pure leaf. This one is more on the end of the leaf section, fewer of the buds. I think I see one in this particular leaf that I scooped out. I see something that does look a bit silvery, a bit fuzzy. Trying to gently use my fingers to kind of pull it to the top. Yeah, you can actually see the silvery looking fuzz on that. So that's one among the dozens of leaf portions rather on this particular spoonful. Bister in color is the dominant color, I should say. That dark gray brown, almost nearly black type of color. You do get some lighter elements that are more of a chocolate brown. You do get some, I'm noticing a couple of stem pieces here with leaves or leaf portions attached to those. So lengthwise, as far as the size of these, most of the pieces here are less than an inch in length, indicating that these are probably, many of these are not intact leaves. So I'm going to seal that up and set that to the side. Get ready to pour this tea. Angle my Gaiwan over to the side, or the lid I should rather. Hold the lid with the index finger, middle finger, and thumb. And ring finger and other fingers can kind of support the bowl there. few little pieces of leaf slipped through, but I got a nice, smooth, even pour. You would be careful if too many leaves slip through, because those leaves have entered the pitcher and they're effectively still steeping there in the pitcher. But I am going to go on now to the wet leaf here, give it a shake. Smells have, I would expect, have picked up quite a bit now. They're definitely more noticeable. The aromas are still in that neighborhood of dried, seasoned hardwood kinds of smells. A dried seasoned wood that yet still has some of the sappy sweetness still trapped inside that. So think it would be more of a sappy, resinous type wood. So there is a bit of that kind of sweetness in there. If you wanted to call it a kind of fruit, it's gentle, it's light, it's dried plum. It's not a sweet, fragrant, floral type of plum. It's a fairly dry plum type of smell. Now, they've got a few leaf portions here on my lid, so I'm just going to leave those. As these have loosened up and these leaf portions have opened up, you do see that some of these leaf portions are a bit of a greener color. You do see some that are more towards a rust red, or like it's still some of that chocolate type of red, indicating some variation in levels of oxidation. Variations could be also related some to, well, I was going to say roasting, but my suspicion is more related to oxidation at this point. Not a lot to tell. These are fairly smaller leaf portions. Not easily, the size does not allow for easy opening of these leaves, unfurling, feeling of the texture and thickness. This piece here, which seems to be a small yet fairly intact individual leaf, looks like the top of the leaf, the tip top of the leaf has been torn off or lost, but it's got some thickness to it. And as I tugged, it tore rather than stretched much, so it wasn't a very elastic young leaf either. So, setting that to the side, give this liquor a swirl and then hold it up to the light, and you notice that's a fairly deep reddish brown color. At a glance, not knowing the other details of this particular tea, but just looking at that color, could be perceived as a black tea. Deep, rich colors in the cup here as well. Look at the smell here. Still dried, seasoned hardwood. This is kind of the aroma here. A bit light, maybe even lightly scorched, you could say. Some astringency to it. It's got a bit of a drying sensation. It's got a bit of a tannic bite to it as well. Again, components that you may associate more with a black tea. It does have some of those resinous hardwood type notes coming out, so there is a bit of a sweetness there. It's subdued. It's in the back. It's kind of after the stronger tannic, woody components that come out at the front. Lightly honeyed. It would be some of that sweeter component there, that sweet to almost floral type component. So this would be wildflower honey, just a little bit of kind of nondescript floral sweetness there. aftertaste. So I'm trying to draw out, I'm trying to wait and see if there's anything that really picks up. It falls off fairly quickly. Texture-wise, that tannic kind of astringent bite at the front carries the tea. It falls off fairly quickly. There's a bit of a kind of, there's a very faint, light, smooth texture. Again, it's quite light. It doesn't last. It's fairly fleeting. So looking at this tea, it's a Formosa Oolong in that range of Oriental Beauty, Formosa Oolong. This one swings more towards black tea type tendencies and more basic elemental black tea type tendencies. The tannic, the astringent, the lower levels of complexity. Some of your Formosa Oolongs, your Oriental Beauties, they can have more of a almost a VSOP is the terms that often get associated. There's a brandy cognac type of smoothness, silken, even a bit of a, and there's often can be more of a sweetness or richness in some of these teas. So this one's lower on the scale. I would put this one around 86. So something to consider. Don't just assume that all Oriental Beauties, all Formosa Oolongs are the same. So come back to Walker Tea Review to find out about all those different, where all these different teas fit on the spectrum of, especially what you're looking for as far as price and taste.